So risk is never risk. It's threat of the activity plus the vulnerability of the individual. And we've never had a wider range of vulnerable individuals in our life. Everything that we do at Functional Movement Systems is literally trying to be more proactive than we were yesterday. Scientifically, the best way to be proactive is reduce risks. If we break risk down, we can take a lesson that Stanley McChrystal brings us from the military, where he said risk is literally threat plus vulnerability. Now, hold that over here for a minute and imagine you're sitting in my shoes when somebody tells you to come up with a better baseball warm-up or a track and field warm-up or off-season program or something like that. I already know the threat of an overhead throwing sport. They're going to have more shoulder, elbow, wrist, and hand injuries. I already know the threat of a cutting, turning, running, starting, stopping sport. It's going to be more ankle and knee injuries. I already know the threats of a lifting sport. We're going to have a higher incidence of low back pain. It's not rocket science. Vulnerability is what you're individually bringing to it. So now, if you ask me about youth baseball, what's the best workout? What's the best warm-up? I'm working with 12 to 15-year-olds in a throwing sport. It's real easy to forget they're 12 or 15, and it's real easy to look at what pros do to warm up their shoulders, and it's real easy to make kids do that. Now, on the other hand, what are 12 to 15-year-olds experiencing? Growth spurts, weak cores, stiff ankles, and some of the world's worst movement screens because they're 12 to 14 or 15, which is when you're losing control of your body because it's changing quicker than your movement patterns can. Therefore, the threat of being 12 to 15 is tight ankles, weak core, and random flexibility problems as you're going through growth spurts. It's also the fact that you're going to wake up hurting some days. They're called growing pains. So I want a warm up that pings that, just like a movement screen, that calibrates your ankles, that juices your core. If we want to add some stuff in for throwers, what's wrong with grabbing the actual ball and glove that you're going to be using and doing some long toss first? So let's wash the lower body and the core of all its problems, and then go throw a little bit and work our way in. Soccer's the same way. You're going to be on your feet the whole game. What can we do to open up your flexibility, challenge your core, get your mechanics better off your feet, like rolling around on the ground and using bear crawls and things like that to recalibrate the core for running and stuff. So it's really easy to know how to warm up for a thing. It's not easy to realize who's warming up and how ready or unready they are for the thing. So you got to manage the threat, but that's easy. We already know it. That's what sports science gives us. The vulnerability is an individual state of readiness that you're bringing to the table every day. And I got to meet the group, and I got to help the individual at the same time. So risk is never risk. It's threat of the activity, the environment, plus the vulnerability of the individual. And we've never had a wider range of vulnerable individuals in our life, meaning very few people that are doing a physical endeavor are really ready for it because they've been watching it far more than they've been experiencing it. And that's where we've been hitting all along. It's real easy to insert a general warm-up into a throwing, cutting, turning, paddling, dancing, track and field environment. But if you don't get that fundamental right, you may be putting skill on dysfunction, not just strength. And you don't want to do that either.